Wizards. It is currently midnight over here in the UK. It's just turned Wednesday. Hope you're all having a good week so far and a very profitable week at that as well. Currently looking at BTC around $9,970, as you can currently see on the screen right now. We have actually broken through $10,000 and rejected just as anticipated, and we are now looking to potentially progress a little lower. However, before we actually get into that, let's cover the current scenario that's been going on with BTC, going over Litecoin as well in this specific video, and also XRP, just to round and finish things off with a nice little overview and a debrief before we actually shift over to the Wizard Wednesdays episode, which will be happening tomorrow, well actually technically today in the evening. So starting off with BTC, we did have that pullback down there to the $9,000 region. Now, if you recall, going over to the Telegram, if you actually had a look from where the pullback occurred, I did predict around $9,200 to be a potential, reversal zone. Price did manage to push that little extra $200 to the downside, not even that, around $100 to around $9,090 before actually exploding towards the upside over here. As we can see, we even breached expectations upon the initial reversal here and then slowly moving lower. So what happened was, from this perspective, I can either cheat this trend line from wick to wick or do it body to body. What we are looking at right now, even with an absolutely perfect trend line, is a huge and unfulfilled region of a retest needed before we can actually even consider progressing higher. Before we get into that, if I just simply duplicate this like we did in the Wizard Wednesdays, you can see if I drag this over here, it's formed a very perfect channel that was working incredibly well. And I actually didn't even spot this when I called the $9,200 reversal. It was simply something I duplicated as I began to see the reversal from here. So looking at this right now, we've actually seen this pullback, we've seen the breakthrough, we've seen the consolidation, which is a very promising sign. The shorts were initially entered around this region here, pretty much from the very top. Stop losses were just above the prior wick, with the initial extension target of at least around 8.4 to 8.6 before inevitably pushing lower to even hit and touch that $7,900 level. What's happened is, after we saw the pullback from here, I moved my stop loss just below break even into a bit of profit. It was wiped out, we've re-entered, and we have some shorts running on that now from around the $10,800 region. And if we go over here, search $10,800, I do believe there was a moment, let me get a comma to make that a bit more perfect. I do believe there was a moment where I did mention wick fishing could potentially occur from a wick fishing region. Let's try and find it. Slight expectation, I was just trying to find the exact message where I said it could be a wick fishing movement, but overall, there we go. So BTC 1H perspective, once we saw the actual movements from here, as you can see, the stop hunt occurred here, which is what wiped me out in a little bit of profit, perfectly tapping that 78.6. And I did just say, just be cautious of any wick fishing up to 10,800, as a lot of wicks were gathering within this area. And Lord behold, we did in fact go over. Going to Brave Browser over here, we did just see that little push higher, and then we did see the break above, tapping towards the $11,000 region, even hitting $11,100. So the trade was not actually invalidated, the setup was not invalidated, we were simply hit out in profit, which is why I always say, having a stop loss set in profit, for example here, when it wipes you out, all you do, as long as it's remaining within your key levels, and I actually specifically gave all of these exact key levels for a reason, because I've been staring at this chart for so long now, my eyes hurt, but I know the key levels are absolutely solid and refined. So it's just giving you that little extra edge in the market to predict where price could be heading. So understanding this region here, as you can see, we didn't really break through it. I can actually just cheat and drag this up even here to where the body is to match the bodies of these candles. But realistically for me, that was a pretty big region of caution. So overall, even if I extended the zone out a little higher, I knew in my head psychologically we were still within these boundaries. And to absolutely top that confluence off, we of course had the head and shoulders here, which is what I've moved, which we'll go over in a second. The head and shoulders was initially here. We preempted that in the Telegram as well. If we go all the way down, just to give you guys a bit of visibility if you haven't been keeping up, just to show you. So we had this all here, potential right shoulder when we were around $10,300. Critical support at 10,003, price breaks below this level. We can expect to sell off to the 8,700, 8,400 areas of liquidity. So we actually perfectly tapped that box. Just going over here one more time. As you can see, we perfectly tapped into that box 2 times, fulfilling the right shoulder and breaking us below this level. Now, going back to the live chart to see this unfold in real time. This is the $10,300 region. We broke below, rejected higher, pushed up again, failed to break, and absolutely melted upon rejecting this region. Having a quick retest of the broken bodies here, the body closures, rejected, perfectly in line, and now we've pulled back lower again. Here's where things get interesting, because I am still very confident on what could be that little push lower to the downside. Even if you extend this to the body from wick to body, just pushes it a little bit lower. But overall, we are looking at a very similar and pretty crucial region that I do believe could be fulfilled. Looking all the way down from around $8,000 to around 7.9, even 7.7 by the time this could get down here. It's looking very threatening to actually provide that possibility of what could be a large pullback to trap the buyers and then wipe them out, and then we go long from there. So we'll leave that there for now. Let's drag this over here as well. Here's the only real concern: shoulder, head, potential shoulder here, which has actually fulfilled right now as we speak. However, the only difference is, and the only reason I am still for the time being maintaining this slightly bearish bias for the very short term, is because of the $10,000 region here. So looking at this from even a 4-hour perspective, we've now broken back below $10,000. We've now pushed up higher. We are now rejecting, just as we've done here, rejecting the prior bodies, and we're seeing a very similar pattern. All of these wicks down here broken, we are now rejecting, and this could potentially lead up to an extra push lower. Looking at a Fibonacci target as well here, you can see 61.8 with downside targets pushing us down towards the Fibonacci here of the 78.6. So if I was to just draw that zone there, do apologize guys, I'm a bit banged up in the nose wise today. I'm a bit clogged. My sinuses are not doing too good today. However, here we are. So pushing that level down to there and getting rid of that fib, you can see on an intraday level from a 1-hour perspective, the absolute perfection on these key levels I've actually given you guys. So as you can see, a swing, a retest, a tap higher, and a pushback lower. So we are targeting this region again, and I do not necessarily believe for now this is one of those attempts to even push back up higher. It could be looking like this, where it flings up higher again, rejects this level. All I really see is around $10,000 to $10,100 being met again for the time being, before we start heading towards around 9.5. So profit taking from those short positions, if you did catch it from the wick fishing and re-enter, following very simple principles, you should be able to have caught a nice short opportunity. So showing you where approximately you could have entered, anywhere from even here, 10.8 with stops just above the prior wick. You would have been absolutely laughing, would have missed your stop loss, and you would have been running in around 860 pip profits roughly as we speak right now. As you can see, it's moving. So you're looking at a pretty solid track record of around 800 pips. And that's obviously because 1 pip equals $1 on BTC. That's something I'll be getting into much further for you guys that are trying to understand the whole margin side of trading. You're looking at every pip equals $1 necessarily on BTC. So you're looking at around 850 pips right now on this single given trade. Looking at where this could be going down to this region here, you're looking at around 1,300 pips off a single trade, even if you were to close around this region here. So do take that into consideration, because looking at how it's going for those lows right now, I do believe the second fib will at least come into play. But overall, the overall grand picture, just getting rid of this, keeping this very nice and clean. Do ignore this for the time being, because looking at how it's going to attack this wick, I am still a bit confident it will not push higher. If we start to see any wick fishing around these regions and we do not break, so you see where this wick was here, looking at where the liquidity has occurred many times over, as long as we even spike down to here but remain above around 9,250 to 9.3, you can be a bit more confident of seeing some long position potentially occurring. But for now, I am a bit focused on that downside. I feel this is a trap, and I wouldn't really want to be catching this right now. It just doesn't fall in line with my trading rules, my strategies, and my confluences. I'm not really willing to take that risk. I do believe this could be a continuation lower. And putting it this way, just from a daily perspective as well, that trend line Even if you were to extend it out to here or out to there, it still hasn't been fulfilled. So we've technically broken, and even if we do see that push to around $9,000, that's still an incredible move of over $1,000 to have captured. So again, it's about being grateful, and looking at this now, that doesn't really count for me on a 4-hour perspective, but from a 4-hour perspective here, that is just absolutely perfect. And again, it finally lines up with the $8,400 region. Guys, I've been calling this level for so long, I cannot even explain. You can watch every single video, you name it. When we were up here, one of the first things I even said was $8,400. Just watch out for it and be cautious. So very simple stuff, very clean analysis. I'm not going for anything extraordinary here. It's pretty much the same as what we've seen many times over. Using, I think it was this one as an example. There was a pretty good setup that did occur at some point. I think it was the break above here. It just broke through a little force, but overall you are seeing all of these extensions come through. So I would like to see this region fulfilled, and then going from a daily perspective here, it does actually fall in line quite nicely within the same area of liquidity. If you look here, we finally retested this broken ground over here, but there has been a lot of ground over to the downside around this level, and there's just something telling me 8,400 is coming through. And if you look at the daily right now as well, there really isn't much of a sign showing we are going to be seeing a pullback just yet. The candle closes for the daily time frame in literally around 45 minutes. So putting that all together in perspective, it is looking very promising, and I am just going to continue holding this one out, and hopefully you guys are as well. All the profits, I've posted some of them on Instagram already, so if you've got any profits, send them through on my personal, CryptoWZRD, or even on Twitter, and I'll make sure they're reposted. But overall, weekly perspective as well, let me just clear this up even better. Again, I am keeping this analysis as clean as possible for you guys now, but just so you can see all of this wick activity over here, we could be seeing another attempt to even push lower to retest this ground here, but I do believe seeing $8,000, $7,900 would be a miracle. As for all of you who are asking about the likes of the inverse head and shoulders, which is formed here, well, not technically an inverse, but just an upside down one. Going to the weekly, as you can see, the shoulder, the head, the shoulder that I plotted in one of the other videos. If you do actually think about this logically and look at how this is looking like looking at the price action here, guys, it does not mirror what we've seen before, and it's looking like a miniature version of the prior bullish run-up we've seen, and it's exactly like we've seen before. The greed consumed absolutely everybody, and looking at these wicks now, it paints a very big picture of what is likely going to be a very huge market reversal. So whilst I haven't actually disregarded $6,000 just yet, I'm not too confident on it for the time being. But the minute we see it's this exact level here, around 7.6 to 7.5, that was the last real swing low around this exact level here. So make that a nice color. That's the new favorite color for me. Going to a daily perspective, as you can see here, we'll just get rid of all of these levels yet again. Get rid of that as well. Get rid of this and this. We'll leave that there for the time being. But looking at this zone here, which was the prior lower low, the higher low, what you're looking at is a potential recess all the way down to this level in a worst case scenario, but I do not see it providing any form of threat to 6K just yet, unless we actually see this wick broken here. As you can see, a huge wick. If we see a break of this wick, you're going to see a retest of around $9,000 to $9,200, give or take, anywhere around this wick region here. And we're going to see a sharp breakthrough down to the wicks over here, and then potentially $6,000. But for now, 6K, only if you start seeing 7.5 broken, you will see a very sharp $1,500 drop straight to this zone over here as well. So that's a big level of caution for me. The same level I've been calling throughout weeks and weeks and weeks of price action. Who would have thought when we were up here? Again, not to throw it out there, not even in a smug way, but just in a genuine way. Who would have actually thought when price was around these levels that we would be pulling back this much? And I've been trying to embed it in your heads. This would be happening at some point. So huge weekly candle right now. Again, only early on in the week. So if we do start seeing a pullback and a closure by the end of the week, then by all means necessary, let's absolutely start looking at more longs. But yeah, all unfolding to plan right now. Not really much to say on this matter anymore. I'm more than happy with the current outcome of this. Now, going over to XRP in particular, I did cover in the Telegram today. What did I say exactly? Something about 30.40. Yeah, so around 0.30 cents with a little 40 thrown on the ends just to sprinkle it up and make it a bit more precise. Let's have a look at XRP right now. And you can see that we did fall just short of that level, which was just over here. We did fall just short, but the pullback was almost precisely to this level. And I do see even a trendline retest around here actually tapping this level before continuing higher. So this is big on my radar. And again, we are following this analysis perfectly, guys. I cannot explain any better. Let me just get rid of this. I think I've done this in the last Wizard Wednesdays as well. Get rid of this. Look at the trend line first of all. Even if I get rid of this one, you can see how perfectly the trend line's been holding. And looking at this region here, we tapped, we spiked below, we tapped our 28 cents region, covered weeks ago in Wizard Wednesdays as well as a huge possibility. Hence why I told you to get out here. Now you've seen a closure, although we spiked below. The weekly closed here, closed back above there, pulled back, tested this level again. This trend line is holding phenomenally well. And this is why 46 cents and beyond is still well on in my radar and vision and in the horizon, because every time we've hit this level we have failed to break below, and it's a crucial region of liquidity all the way up to around the current 30 cents region. You are looking at huge areas of liquidity. From the upside perspective, you can drag that up to around there, and you've got another huge area that we've been bouncing back and forth. So you could be looking at almost 100% ROI even purchasing at these regions. That's why I always wait for these levels, as it's an amazing level to even be buying XRP in the current point in time. So it's looking amazing right now and things are looking really good. So again, as for XRP, what would happen if BTC did actually fall lower, which right now, guys, to be honest with you, is looking like it's going to absolutely die. So yeah, I am actually going to keep $8,000 in the grasp, $8,400. Once we hit this level, I will be so happy, because things were really looking against me in the beginning. Everyone doubted, and it would just be nice to see that whole list of targets I gave you finally fulfill and really just prove everyone wrong. Not in a smug way, but just to show that you really, and again, it's more just to educate you guys and just show you a real life example of how BTC could be at almost $14,000 on one of the biggest bullish phases ever. We are literally tackling the year on what's been a phenomenal 2019. No one expected this, but just with a little bit of sensibility and just being a bit smart and calculated, we have managed to actually wipe out this whole scenario and realize that yes, the market can reverse and come back to humble those who have been too impatient. So should BTC even fall over here, looking at where XRP is currently, I only think it's going to aid the run up to 46 cents and higher even more. So do you know what? Hopefully BTC does fall, because number one, I want my call to be fulfilled precisely, and I want XRP to absolutely boom. And then if BTC starts dropping off, all of the larger players in the market will have known to take their profits off the table. You've got Backed literally doing the testing phase right now, which doesn't influence the actual market, but Backed will be settling their futures with physical BTC. So maybe it won't have too much of an impact, but I do believe once everyone starts jumping on board, then you have CME futures combined with this manic behavior, we could be seeing BTC back at $6,000. And again, I've said it from the beginning, it should not be a shock to any of you. It's just looking more and more like a reality by the day. So start seeing these wicks wiped out, then by all means we'll see this come through. But on the other side as well, looking at it from retrospect, should we actually see $8,400 down to $7,900 hold up well? Guys, just start gearing up for like $16,000, 16 and a half on the second fib target. Let's grab this over here. From wick to wick, we've landed there just now. $9,000 just below, which is a nice level, strong confluence. Dragging this down to a more precise region of body to body, you've got $9,000 there and $8,300 there. They are perfectly aligned with the targets being given. So even on a pullback perspective to start gearing up for all-time highs, you could be seeing this level come through first. And it's just so exciting to see this actually become a reality right now. So again, BTC, huge buy region for me. Any potential threats, again, you're looking at 28 cents down to the prior wicks, around 26 to 25 cents. No real threat for me. Right now, you've seen that new spike through. Guess what we do? We add this over there. Now, instead of adding this from wick to wick over there, we're now just going to add this from the prior wick over here, because now you have both levels here with a huge region of liquidity located just below. Price dips into this level, you know, it's a great buy zone for both margin and for physical BTC and XRP and whatever it may be as well you're planning to do. So perspective wise right now, things are looking marvelous, things are looking right on schedule. Going over to LTC, just wanted to quickly touch on this as well, give a quick debrief and a quick overview on what's going on this side as well. So having a look at this, we covered this trend line over here, the huge retest, which is why I'm very keen on this potential retest coming through as well. Let's just leave that there for the chart perspective, just in case it does something a bit wacky and wild whilst we're recording this video. But again, looking at where this retest lines up and looking at where we are now, again, as I said, the longer it takes for a target to actually fulfill, the lower it will fall, or the higher it will fall on the inverse side as well. Start wiping out this level here around 9899. Goodness gracious me, we are going to plummet down to $8,000 and even lower to around 7.5. So we can start tackling this level here and going out for that prior higher low, and that would be a phenomenal sight to see as well. So going over to LTC, just to show you that trend line retest around that level as well. Guys, the perfection was unbelievable, and I did say in the video, I believe I showed it on Telegram as well. If not, I think I screenshotted it somewhere. That's just changed. Nice, keep that nice and clean. Absolute perfection. Spiked up to around 150, which I said would be a possibility. Slammed back below. And again, I've had all of these levels marked out. You can check the Wizard Wednesdays. They have been marked out for so long. This was over here from that wick there. I've extended it out here, but we will now get rid of that. So the first real pullback on this level has actually fulfilled the $80 region with $60 just below. You would notice in Telegram, I did actually cover that for LTC as well. So we're just $20 short of that region. And we have seen a nice fall over here, which could obviously aid the potential altcoin run up. But overall, just another example of why, and here's why I think it's going to fall lower, why you cannot get too overhyped by FOMO when the whole market is going crazy. The amount of people that were telling me $140 in crypto Twitter, yet again, buy, the altcoin rally has begun. No, it hasn't. You just have to be sensible and identify pullbacks in the market. So just simple stuff like that. I mean, even if I go to the daily right now and just look at this, I do believe there's a fib on this setup as well. Pretty much perfect fib, loading and leading up to around $62 down to $45. Guys, it's just working out phenomenally perfect right now. And this is just another example. It can take months, it can take weeks, it could even take a year. It may not look promising at the current point in time. People will be against you, people will laugh, people will hate. People will not believe because they do not want to believe. They do not want to suffer losses because they're too emotionally attached to their own investments. We are here to put that to the side, whether that's your ego, whether that's your emotions, whatever it may be. Brush it to the side, look at the charts, and it paints a very clearer picture than what your mind is projecting and what you are envisioning. We have to remember the biggest obstacle in our life isn't whatever's presented to us. It isn't society, it isn't the human race, although the human race is a bit dodgy. It's not that, it's our own brain. The biggest obstacle in life, the biggest thing that stops you from succeeding is what your own brain is fabricating. The minute you can brush aside those emotions, you can see this chart on a much clearer perspective. And that's how I could see this reversal when all you could see at the point in time was this. This reversal was called when none of this was happening. There was no one posted this trend line. Let me just post that again. That's all we saw at that current point in time. Many people would have expected a pullback and a rally, but no, we dropped all the way down there to where it was projected. And that is just another example of why, when it does not look possible, when it does not look realistic, all you need to do is look at prior price action. What levels have not been retested? Has the market moved too high? Look at this here. It just mirrors exactly that, and now it's pulled lower. Now you could be seeing that correction down to around 60 cents as well. And guess what happens here, guys? Sorry, I almost just punched the mic in a rage of confusion. Shoulder. Ignore the opacity for a second. Head. And another potential shoulder leading up to around here. Guess what? It aligns almost pretty much precisely as well around that region where the Fibonacci extension arises as well, alongside the first target aligning with these levels I had once we actually started breaking out from these regions. And I've left them there anticipating a pullback. So just wanted a little refresher, a little insight just to provide you with something very powerful and impactful, and hopefully a bit more opening to what is actually occurring in the market and how anything can occur when you least expect it. So for me right now, in terms of altcoin rallies, even if BTC falls, I do believe XRP has a bit more power left to move. Going over to this right now, we tapped 35, and I do believe we can see that little push to 34, but overall the region has been fulfilled, and we have a lot of wicks over there as well. So any form of wick fishing, just be cautious. But overall, if you want to try to grab a quick Fibonacci as well, it's pretty much perfect. Nice alignments over here. Prior price action, huge areas of liquidity. 78.6 lines up perfectly with the prior bodies as well. So you have a nice little region where price could dip to just a wick fish, test this area for validity. BTC starts falling, as we can see now, is really going for it. Please, 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 just give us what we've wanted for so long. And we are well on our way to seeing some incredible profits from these short opportunities. And on that note, I will be seeing you later on in Wizard Wednesdays anyway. Guys, it's 12:30, half midnight, obviously basically over here in the UK. A lot of energy right now, purely because everything's working out to plan. I'm very excited. You're all sending me profits, and I hope to see this progress into Wizard Wednesdays and for the remainder of the week as well. So guys, see you in the Telegram in a bit.